Welcome to RC Underground Radio.
We're racing toy cars here.
If you've been looking for a podcast that talks about one RC tracks, suppliers, and events, then you're in the right place.
I haven't changed my underwear since the Kenman. I'm not kidding.
I'm
not kidding. It's the same.
I didn't want to go there.
It's this.
And we're glad you're here. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Retzloff and David Brinkman.
I am a BB in a boxcar.
Super excited about tonight. Called a couple of my amigos to jump on at the last minute, and of course they did, and it's going to turn out to be a great show. Tonight we're going to talk Midwestern 400, and who knows where this will go. We're just three friends that we've known each other since we were little, so this could go anywhere. So please join me in welcoming George Mari and Nick Ciccone. George, Nick, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be here.
Yep. So yeah, you guys kind of helped me out of a jam. Ryan is involved in some work activities, so he couldn't join, and I reached out to you guys 2 hours ago, and you jumped right on. So I appreciate you doing that.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
So cool. So hey, it works out. It's a few nights before the Midwestern 400, and you're both past Midwestern winners, but you've never gone 400 laps before in any of the different scales that we've raced this race since 1981. How do you think that's going to make this different from any other edition that we've run? George, what do you think?
Well, I was working out 400 laps. What do we? I think we average around. The longer races we average maybe around 3 seconds a lap. Over the course of the whole race, so it's 20 minutes solid running. And obviously we can't make that distance on one set of batteries. We're going to have, I think you said 2 pit stops, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be, strategy involved, like you talked about, as far as, do we stop or do you keep the car out on the track and, tracking track position? So that's all going to enter into it.
All right, Nick, George brought it up, strategy. I know you hold your cards really tight.
Yeah.
You've raced this thing. You've won this thing multiple times. You're the defending winner. What do you think? What's your thoughts?
Now I think all bets are off. I mean, it doesn't really matter what your strategy was in the past. I think anybody could win this now. Because if I sit back in a 400 lap race, I'll end up 3/4 of the way through it being 25 laps down. So that's not going to work.
So could we see a Nick Ciccone just running as hard as he can run for 400 laps? Is that what you're saying?
That very well could be the strategy. Yep.
Yeah, and what'll be interesting too, and I know there's been this honor system, and George, you and Jake Bolter kind of established this in terms of, hey, if something's kind of going in or you get into somebody, everybody kind of sometimes even stops, let alone just slows down. I don't know if that can happen in a 400 lap race. I think you got to just keep going and just see who makes up time, or maybe you maybe you slow a little bit and let that guy get back around you. But that stopping, we've talked about it before, at 2.5 to 3 second laps, a lot happens in 10 seconds, right? That's 3 to 4 lap difference. So what do you think of that, George? How gracious are people going to be in this event?
I think, during the qualifiers, preliminary races, you don't want to, put somebody out and, ruin their chance of, getting into the main, get into that 400 lap feature. So, I think there's still going to be some of that happening in the, earlier races. Probably in the big 400 lap race, it's probably going to be all bets are off.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, and I would think the same in that last chance eliminator, or actually any of the eliminators. Sure, you advance if you're in a D or an E, you can advance up to the next one if you're one of the top cars. But then going into that the B main, basically, it's going to be just a couple of cars that are going to make it up into that A main. And, I think, like you say that eloquently, all bets are off, I think, from that level up. So we'll have to see. Mm-hmm. So, Nick, there's been talk. I've talked to a few of these guys. There's going to be some new blood out there this year. I only raced with some of these guys once. They're really good guys, really good people, but very talented racers. So, when Aaron Streblo came last year, almost picked your pocket on this deal because he got back on the lead lap. He started to figure it out in a longer race. I think, I'm not saying it's an advantage to those guys, but I'm saying what really helps them, I think, is the more laps, right? So they may struggle a little bit they might struggle a little bit in the heat races and kind of get that way in the qualifier. But if they can make their way into the main, they got a lot of laps to figure it out. And I think we might see the same thing, right? We're going to see some of the established stars like yourself and George out there in front at the beginning. But as these guys get some laps and kind of get their feet under them, they might come on and start to charge at the end. What do you think of that, Nick? Yeah,
I think when I heard you talking about how many new drivers were coming out to this race, I thought same thing as before. It's anybody's race now. It was a little bit different last year. We had the same kind of core group that raced a couple races in, a lot of practice. Now it's different. Now everybody's going out there. Different set of laps, 400 to 200 is a huge difference, and a lot of new blood and a lot of old blood, right? All mixing together. So there's styles that, I know George's style. George knows my style, right? We feed off of each other sometimes. We don't have that anymore, So it's every man for himself now.
Yeah, what is that like when you're, exactly what you said, there's guys that you're used to racing with, and now all of a sudden there's new racers. Do you just go door to door with them because you have to, or do you kind of feel it out? What's your thoughts on that, George?
I think you're going to have a chance to feel it out with the different racers as you race with them in the heats, I watch people during practice, just to see well, how do they take those corners? How do they deal with traffic? And so, I think there'll be enough, of a chance to get to see that and kind of know who you can race with, who you got to be aggressive with, or who you got to be patient with, and just go from there.
Yeah. How about you, Nick? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's the same thing. Who can you be aggressive with and who you can be patient with is the key to the whole strategy. If I go forward and I run hard right out the starting gates, I find trouble all over the place. For some reason, I'm hitting the left side, the right side, the back side of other cars, and that's purely unintentional. It's just when I get in that when I'm in my groove and they're in my groove, I want my groove, and I'm going to go into my groove. So I end up taking them out. You got a bunch of new drivers that don't know my style. I don't know their style. They could take that as a sign of aggression, and that's not what I want. So which makes me want to lay back. And on the other hand, if I lay back, I'm down 20 laps. So I think it's a matter of, like George said, watch the heat races, see their lines, adjust according to their lines instead of the line that I want to run now.
Yeah, that's a very good point that both of you made. What I'll find interesting is I think everybody's going to be lined up at qualifying, checking everybody out, because you're going to get to see each individual driver for one full minute.
Yep.
That's about 35 laps that get put in. So, that's going to be interesting. The other part that's going to be interesting is we are launching the practice clock. So, because we've got so many drivers, we really want to be careful, and we don't want anything to, you get too many cars out there, it's just mayhem. You don't get to run. So it's going to be 4 cars, 5 minutes. With the amount of qualifying we have, that should give everybody almost 10, if not 11. If everything goes right, it'd be almost 11 or 12 different rounds. And of course, you can go right back in line. So if 4 guys went and there's nobody there, you can jump right back in line again, right? So it could be even more, but I think everybody will get enough practice. But I think it'll be a lot better practice than we've had in the past, just because it'll never be more than 4 cars. So, what's your guys' thought on that, of having kind of a balanced practice like that, George?
Yeah, I like that idea. It's especially when there's that many cars. It's just a little more organized, a little bit more, less mayhem, less chaos on the track, and that's kind of when you're we haven't raced in, I don't know, 3-4 months. So, I mean, we're going to need some practice, and, that everybody uses that time to try to, feel out the track. How's the track reacting? What kind of adjustments do I need to make to my car? And if there's too many cars on the track, it's just really tough to do that and get a good read for that. So,
yeah, I bet you agree with that, Nick. And wouldn't you say it just having a little more space, right?
I like the structure of the practice a lot, because some guys like to practice a lot. I'd rather not. I'd rather get my car dialed in early in practice, and then I'd rather watch the other cars in practice. So I'll go back out there for my session, but usually later in practice, I'm not working hard on dialing in my car. I'm more watching while I'm on the track where the other guys are going. So.
That's interesting. Yeah. So if I can pick your brain on that a little bit. So what motivates you to go back out again when you start to see the times start to go down? Everybody starts out in the 3s, high 3s. And that seems, once the track, we call it rubber up, but it's pretty much Scuff Racing's awesome saucing up. Times start to go down. Cars get faster. So then do you go back out there again at that point, or what, will you share that secret of when you go back out?
It's a tough one, because I know that, everybody that's at that track is all focused during practice and qualifying on the fastest lap, the fastest car, qualifying, getting that fastest qualifying time. I'm never going to be the fastest car on the track. I could promise you that. So I don't focus on that in the least bit. I'll go out there and qualify, just try to get the best out of my car without trying to become the fastest qualifier. My concern during practice is just 2 things: dial in my car and pretty much watch everybody else, but not from the side. I want to see them while I'm on the track. I want to see how they pass. I want to see how they come up on you. I want to see how they come out of the corners. Do they accelerate out of the corners? Do they not accelerate? So I use it more visually.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
The secret sauce.
So what do you guys? Yeah, that's right. What do you guys think of the Midwestern back as the fall classic? I mean, it's fall time. That to me was always Midwestern. Just the way, with it being an opening season last year, things just kind of fell where they fell, right? And I thought, well, okay, let's have the last race of the season be the Midwestern. This year I said, no, you know what? It just didn't feel right. I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was a great race. It was fun. But racing the Midwestern in the spring just didn't work for me. So it's back where it is in the fall. But on top of that, it's one of our marquee events coming right out of the box. I mean, we're right in everybody's face with the schedule this year, and 400 laps. So what do you think, George? Is it back where it belongs?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's like you said before, right? It's kind of our Daytona 500, right? It's that first race of the year right out of the gates, and it's the biggest prize. It's nice because in terms of preparation and stuff, you had all summer to get ready for it, and it's just like you said, it just seems right.
How about you, Nick?
I love it, absolutely love it. It's back to old school. You threw a loop with the 400 laps, but my first thought was, oh, that's not really what I was anticipating hearing. But then when you throw out the 2 pit stops, it's like, kind of brought me back old school.
Yeah, but there's those strategies. George started to touch on a little earlier. I mean, yeah, it is 2 stops, but you don't have to do both, right? You could do just one. Ryan kind of foreshadowed and said, I don't see anybody doing that because of the battery fall off. Might hurt you, but I don't know. I mean, you can't lap anybody if you stay out, but you could gain position if you stay out. So say you're running 5th, a lap down, and all 4 of the other cars pit, I mean, you're back on a lead lap and you're the leader. So there's different scenarios that could really play out in this. But what's your thought on that, Nick? Do you think everybody will just kind of do the 2 stops?
I don't know. I really don't. I'm already anticipating for myself 2 stops because it's the battery fall off at the end that scares me. The tires, the fact that we're going into, and I know this may be overthinking it, but we're going into this race in the fall, coming off of a warm summer. I'm thinking of the concrete underneath the foam. I'm thinking of the foam. I think the tires are not going to be an issue for the entire race. So I think it's all about battery, and I think you need a solid jump going into that last 100 laps.
Well, I'll share something with you guys that just happened today. It's happened once before, but never the week of, not days before a race. Power went out today. Huge rain. I don't know if you guys got rain in Illinois.
We did.
Some, yeah.
Yep. So by the time I could get generator going, some pumps going, went downstairs, 2 inches of water across the whole basement.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
So as
it changes everything.
Last year, let's just say dehumidifiers are rocking and rolling down there right now.
Okay.
But amazingly enough, had everything cleaned up about the midday, went back to work, and then when I just came home, everything's drying up pretty well. So, I mean, we'll be race ready Saturday. I'm not worried about that. But Nick brings up a good point because ambient temperature and the effect could throw a little drama into the mix. So what do you think of that, George?
Well, it sounds like you washed the track, basically. So
yeah,
that's,
right.
I think the last time this happened last season, I don't know that we saw anything, too negative on the track as far as, was it really slick after you had that flood? I mean, I think it was pretty good. But we do definitely see, right, during the race day, the track, like you said in the beginning, right, rubbering up, or basically the awesome sauce kind of building up, and the traction tends to go up, and it kind of like affects your car. Everybody's car is affected, I think, a little bit differently. Some cars maybe will start pushing a little more. Some cars will be, they'll be a little bit loose, with that extra traction. It just depends on your setup. So I think having those pit stops is also not just a chance to change batteries, but also a chance to, because I think what you said, there's 5 minutes for each pit stop, right? So that's plenty of time to like make a little tweak on the chassis if you need to like make an adjustment because you realize that the track's changing. So that's good. That is I think a key consideration, during those pit stops. You got to kind of keep an eye on what the track is doing and think about, making a change if you need to during that pit stop. I think with the battery situation that you guys were talking about before, I don't see, I think we've done 200 laps for sure. At least I've done in my car. I think I've done 200 laps just in practice there. 250 might be stretching it. So I mean, if you don't stop for batteries at one of those pit stops, it's going to be really tight at the end of that next stint. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just the breakout. So we don't announce the breakout until day of race because we don't want people, having too much time to figure it out, right? So, but you figure that first one's got to be over 200. Probably, well, no, I shouldn't say that. Probably going to be like 175-ish, somewhere in there. And then the second one, it's going to be, another somewhere in the 300 range. And so you're going to have to, then it's going to be 100 laps to the end. So, it'd be difficult to, I don't see anybody being able to do just one, but we'll have to see. Okay, guys, so now we're going to go in the forward machine. We, at the end of the year, we have put together what we're calling the RC Foam Oval Nationals. Mm-hmm. We are going to be challenging every track in the country that races foam, we are going to be picking at them to say, hey, send us your guy. You know, you're a foam track, we're a foam track. We want to get the best of the foam racers all together. I'm getting a lot of traction on that deal, to the point that we'll probably have racers in the garage. We'll probably have racers outside under tents. So what's your thought on that? That might actually end up being a 3-day show, where you have a qualifier on one night, and then people are trying to transfer to the main, the main features on Sunday. What do you think of something like that? I don't think any of us have ever really experienced that. George, you traveled a little bit. I know you and I traveled with you to some races, but I don't remember. Those are all probably single-day shows, right?
Yeah, pretty much. A multiple-day show sounds amazing. I mean, when I started to really, get back into this, and with 1RC, I was kind of looking around it after a certain while, like thinking, yeah, where are the 1RC Oval Nationals? I kept looking online, Googling it, and trying to see, like, is there ever going to be something like that, some kind of national race where, someone can, claim the mantle of champion for the whole nation, at least for a year, but I never found anything. And then, leave it up to you to actually to do it, Dave. So,
it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, because that's kind of where I was going with it. I was like, yeah, there's no like big. Well, I mean, Colorado does a big race. We had him on the air last year talking about that race. But yeah, what you would actually call 1RC Nationals isn't out there. So I'm like, hey, Wisconsin's the home of the Slinger Nationals. We got a foam track. We're like, except the banking, but we're a fifth mile. So why can't we host it? We can figure it out down there. So I just figure it's going to be kind of like a basketball tournament, like a high school basketball tournament and or 8th grade basketball tournament where teams will come in from everywhere, and you got your qualifying night, and then you come back. Hopefully you made it to the finals, and should be fun. What's your thoughts on that, Nick?
I love it. I love the idea. I can't wait to get to the hotel for the pool at night. So I'm already thinking ahead.
Yeah, well, and they just built some new hotels right here in Oak Creek, which is the next town over. So that would be awesome. I never even thought of that. Yeah, everybody coming home. We'll do bonfires in the backyard every night.
Sure.
And I was just thinking, there'll be TVs outside and the scoring being shown all outside and speakers, and it could be fun. And the dual focus on this will be for charity. Everything that we would bring in on this, we're gonna challenge. Not only we're gonna try to do teams based on states. So you'll not only you two, be representing Illinois. You get to pick who your charity is you're racing for, and there'll be different ways that we can raise money for hopefully a whole bunch of charities. But we got guys. I'll throw some names out there. JB Trickle's thinking about coming. Of course, we're going to be pulling on the Murph dog to come. And, you get those two guys there, and everybody's going to want to race with them. So we got guys from New York. We got Dalton, who's going to be here for the 400, coming from Iowa. We got a lot of out-of-towners. Who would ever think all this was going to take place in that basement track that we just decided to get some buddies together and race with, huh? It's turning out crazy.
I think it's a testament to what you've built so far, Dave. I mean, it's just it's basically a professionally run track. And like you said, it is in your basement. But I mean, if you go down there and look around, I mean, it's the equal of any kind of business, commercially run track I've ever been to. So, yeah, kudos to you, buddy.
No, I appreciate that. It's just a passion for the hobby and getting together with a lot of great people, right? I'm even going to push Bella. I'm going to push Miss Bella RC to jump in a 1RC car. She travels all over the country. I'll talk her dad into it.
There you go.
And she's never raced a 1RC, right?
No. She gets up off the ground, she's going to keep it in the track. But that would be fun. I just want all the stars and all the great people and people we've had on the show, everybody just to come and get together one time. And then it's going to culminate with that feature event, which is going to be called the Ron Race, basically in honor of our buddy Ron Peacock. Recently, Ron's not doing really well. He is, like he said, he's ready to see the Lord. It's a tough thing to talk to him about, but he's so positive about it. His story will just continue to always be inspiring. Initially, we would love to have had him here. We're not sure that could take place, but it'll be nice. It'll be nice to honor him. We've been able to honor him while he's here, and it's really been emotional for him when we made that announcement. He was really humbled, and we just always want to remember him. He's just a really, really good guy. So, hey, Nick, you're kind of getting darker and darker and darker by the minute. And I know you got to run. You got some family stuff to take care of. We just wanted to take a moment and say thank you so much for jumping on here tonight and doing this with George and I. You are the defending champ going into this race, so all eyes are going to be on you. Should have a great field of cars coming at you. But what's your closing statements on the Midwestern 400?
Well, I am looking forward to it so much that there's a good chance I actually still need to take my car out of the box from the last race. So I know George loves to hear that. But I'm just looking forward to it. I am. It should be a good time. It's going to be totally different. It's going to be like a whole new experience for all of us, just with the different track, the conditions, the people, the drivers. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it. And my thought was, since I'm going to be leaving right now, leaving you guys, I may just, how when the channel goes off the air and you have the bars that are on there, I was thinking about just like leaving like this and just leaving the camera sit here the rest of the show. Is that okay with you guys? Or?
Sure, buddy.
Is it in a good spot? Any closer?
Yeah, it's your show tonight.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah. We got it.
Right there, right? So, yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys again. It's been a while. I've been jonesing to get down there and just hang out with you guys, I miss it.
That's the best part. It is. Yep. It's the best part.
Yep.
And that's what motivates me to do what I do down there because I'm excited to see all you guys and all the new guys and everybody else coming back. It's what we love to do, right? It's our thing.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Nick, thanks again for joining us. We will see you Saturday.
That sounds great. Thanks a lot,
see
guys.
You, Nick.
George, take care.
Yeah, you too.
So let's talk some full-size racing here for a minute. I got some questions. Now, I know you're a Ferrari guy.
Oh yeah,
still a Ferrari guy, right?
Absolutely.
What is going on at Ferrari? What is your take?
What's my take? And actually, lately they're getting a handle on their car. They're starting to do better. I mean, you saw they won in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
That was a strategic win. Absolutely. They were definitely not the fastest car on track, maybe, but they were up there, and they were able to pull a strategic win out of their hat. So, and I feel like they're making some updates, for the car. They're doing a better job setting up the car lately, the last few races, and they're definitely not gonna they're not gonna dethrone Red Bull anytime soon, but they're moving up from where they were fourth in the Constructors' Championship, right? And I think they're going to have a decent shot to be second.
So, other thing I heard in full-size racing is that there's going to be a doubleheader weekend at Milwaukee for the IndyCars. Are you going to come up for any of those?
Yes, I heard about Milwaukee coming back on the schedule for IndyCar. I didn't realize it was a doubleheader. So,
yeah, it's in August. I don't remember the actual dates, but yeah, it's going to be a Saturday-Sunday thing. So,
okay,
dual points. Yeah, so I think that's going to be great for the state of Wisconsin. To get that race back again. It was always such an important part. I did love it when it used to be right after Indy.
Yes.
Whatever the drama and excitement was off of Indy, it was always cool to go to Milwaukee and see what was going to happen. But hey, I'll take it as long as they're just coming back to Milwaukee. That's going to be great.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's plan on going.
Yeah, let's get some tickets. That'll be fun. That'd definitely be fun. So now with Nick off the air, it's just George and I. And here's a little segment I want to talk to you about, George, because I know this is in your background, not only just being a Formula One fan, but you used to run your own promotion. At the RC Underground, we are going to run a road course. What's your feelings on that?
That's awesome. I think it's a great idea. I wasn't thinking that was going to be one of the races that you put out there for this season, so it was definitely a big surprise. But I love the idea. I am noticing though that it looks like from what the graphic you had on the reveal show, right? That it looks like it's basically just the one right turn, though, right?
That is correct. It is the one right turn, but boy, that's going to be a big right turn for all those lefties.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just thinking about the setup, I'm going to have to completely change the setup of the car, but I'm kind of wondering with four or I don't know if it's 4 or 5 left turns, maybe it'd still work to have that same setup. I think that'd be really interesting to try out and see how does that oval setup still, work on a right-hand turn. Yeah,
we will have practice day prior to that race. It's Holiday Havoc. It's going to be a little bit of havoc.
It will be.
Another thing that we're doing is during the heat races, those are going to be duels. So it's just going to be 2 cars on the track, mano a mano. And we're actually honoring, and I know you raced with him, Tony Bialis, who we lost to cancer last year. The reason we picked the road course and honoring Tony is that's the one race he won. In the 18th scale, we had a race, and we ran a road course, and lo and behold, Tony Bialis won that thing. I finished second. And at the end of the race, with about 30 to go, everybody dropped out, and it was just Tony and I. And it was some serious racing. It was 18 scale cars. And I said, what a fitting tribute to Tony, right?
Yeah.
It's the one race he won. It was just 2 cars in the last 30 laps going for it. So that's what we're going to do during the heat races. It'll be the TB duels in Tony's honor. So reached out to his daughter, and she really got a big kick out of that. I'm hoping she'll come. She kind of wants to come and and be there to see that. So that'd be kind of fun. He was a great man, and we miss him a ton. He'd be down here racing with us. If he was still here, he'd be racing with us. I know.
He definitely would be. I mean, I can't. Racing kind of comes and goes in spurts, right? I mean, you go for a while. You 3 years go by and you don't race, and then you come back. And I remember more than once, going to a race, I haven't seen Tony, for a few years, and all of a sudden Tony's there, just saying, "Hey, how's it going?" The one thing maybe, I don't know, most people don't know was Tony was really, really a talented painter.
Yes.
He always made really, really good the bodies, as far as the designs and stuff that he made. I was always in awe of what he was able to do, as far as painting those bodies, because I do definitely not have the talent there. Mm-hmm. But when you saw one of his bodies, you're just like, wow, that is definitely top notch.
Yeah, what was amazing with what he would do too is that there was no decals on his cars. If it was the Family Channel car, that Family Channel logo was all paint.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and he did the Cartoon Network car. He did some pretty intricate paint jobs, and that was amazing. No wraps, no decals, all paint.
Yeah, I mean, this was in the days before wraps. I think wraps weren't even a thing back then. If you
for sure
couldn't find a decal for something you had, you wanted on your car, you had to paint it yourself, and he could do it. So, props to him for that.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's going to be fun to honor him. And you're right. There's only the one right turn, but it's going to be a bit narrow. So,
yes.
But yet, there are going to be some road course ringers in this deal. Yes, you are on that list, very high on that list. You know how to do some left and right turning. And
in theory,
Steve
yes.
Steve Clark actually has Mini Z, I believe, track in his basement, which I would not doubt that track has already been built in his basement, and he's probably already turning laps on that exact layout.
The thing about, when I think back to, the times I did try road course racing is, it's really hard to get the line right. And I know that sounds like such a small thing, like, just go around on the line you're supposed to, right? But, these cars are going so fast, and there's so little reaction time, and it's so hard to get that car lined up on the line, that's the fastest line around the track. There's a reason people do it. It's because, even if you could look like you're going slow, but as long as you stick to that line, you're gonna have a killer lap time. And I think that's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know, on road course racing too, what makes it so different is if you miss one corner, the whole lap is lost, right? The whole lap is junk. And I think where that's going to become important coming out of that right-hander, then you're going to turn left. And to your point, yes, everything except for that is a regular left-hand turn. But it's going to be fast. That's going to take you all the way to the back wall, like where you drive right now. Is all going to be foam. So you're going to come out, kind of coming out of normal turn 4. But then it could be, if that's the fast way around, it can be hammered down all the way down the normal front stretch, all the way into 1. But now you're going all the way to the back wall and then angling down into that right-hander. I think it's all going to come down to how fast people come into that, right? So it's going to be so fun to go as fast as you can.
That's right.
Let's just call it the big sweeper, right? You can go through the sweeper as fast as you're going to want to. I mean, we're racers, right? We're going to want to go as fast as we can through there because we've never gone that fast at the underground. You got to back her down, or you got to back up the corner, or you just got to go in there full force and then heavy braking. I think that's what's going to be interesting, is to see who changes their driving.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be, kind of a learning experience to figure out that right-hand turn. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to try it out.
Yeah, and it'll be fun to see where the passing points develop. Is it out of the sweeper? Is it going into the right-hander? Is it in the right-hander? Is it coming off the right-hander? I mean, all of that is all unknowns, right? So, yeah, we just wanted to throw a monkey wrench into the season. And, hey, we're not racing for points. Every race is a big race. I think it'll make it interesting. See what the lap times are. That's what I'm really going to be interested in. Like, because we'll be going so much faster through the sweeper, will it still be a 3-second lap? Or will it go down to a 4-second lap or a 5-second lap, or will it be, I don't know. There's just going to be so many unknowns. I think we're going to have so many aha moments, like, whoa, didn't expect that, right?
Yeah, it should be great.
I think by the time we get to the eliminators in the main, I think everybody will be dialed in, and then it'll be some really good racing. And probably have guys going, how many more road courses are we going to do next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I was just thinking of, too, is, on road courses, you kind of make up more time in those slow corners, right? Because you think, you probably have to tiptoe through, but it's you still got to keep your speed up. You got to find a way to do it. So that's part of the challenge.
Well, hey, George, I know you've stuck on here with us. Appreciate that very much. Staying on here and jumping in, like I said at the beginning of the show, jumping in and saving my butt since
no problem.
Ryan couldn't be here. But super excited to get the season started again. Let's get another Midwestern on your belt, huh? I'm getting sick of this Ciccone guy. Like, he gets a little cocky about these Midwesterns, don't you think? Like,
yeah, he does.
He gets beat.
He does, but I mean, props to Nick. I mean, he deserves it. He won 2 races last year, right? I think 2.
Yep.
2 different races.
The Shamrock, and he won the Midwestern.
And he deserved every one of them. I mean, he just knows how to, even if he's not the fastest qualifier, he just finds a way somehow to make it to the front by the end of the race. So, but I'm stepping things up. So we'll just see what happens. If I can be there, contending for the win, I'm happy.
Again, George, thanks for joining us. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to RC Underground Radio. Hope you enjoyed this episode and you've enjoyed all the other ones. All that simple stuff now that we're on YouTube, right? We need you to subscribe. We need you to ring the bell. And again, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to RC Underground Radio. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, drop us a line at rcuradio@gmail.com. We're curious to know, what do you like? What don't you like? Who would you like us to talk to?
Sounded really weird.
It was weird, but you know what I meant. We're talking about racing, so...
Okay.
You can find us on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. See you next time on the RC Underground Radio Podcast.
I am a BB in a boxcar.